What does it take to develop an unbreakable mindset after you have experienced a setback? One so powerful that it breaks you down emotionally, mentally, and sometimes physically, because what we think, it does affect our body depending on what it is. I'm going to share with you my cues to help you to develop an unbreakable mindset that will prevent you from being paralyzed from your setbacks, past and present. I want to begin by telling you a story when I was in my early 20s, not too long after I had graduated from college. I was working as a freelance graphic designer. I was an apprentice. I worked with a guy who owned a graphic design studio. We shared a client. I was working in our client's office. It was late afternoon, getting close to the end of the business day. I received a call from one of my college buddies. He asked me if I was interested in developing a storyboard for a national advertising campaign. I said sure. I hadn't done anything like this, but it was going to be big for me professionally. His agency was about 3 blocks away from my current client. Again, it was the end of the business day, and this storyboard was due the next morning. So I drive to my friend's agency and I met the owner. I showed him my portfolio. He liked what he saw and he said, "Hey, you got the job. This is due the next morning. Can you get it done?" I was confident in my abilities. I had done well up until that point, and I had no reason to doubt. I said, sure, I can. So I drive back to my other client's place. People were leaving the office because it was the end of the day. By now, I was the last person in the building. So I left the building, and when I got downstairs, I realized I left my keys in my client's office. I'm outside and I pulled on the door and it wouldn't open. It was one of those buildings that just automatically locked. So I called my partner and I said, "Hey, can you call the client and let them know that I'm locked outside of the building and I need my keys to my car and my apartment because I have this project that's due in the morning and I don't have any place to work and I can't get inside my place." So anyway, the client graciously came back to the office and said to me, "Hey, listen, we can't get back inside the building because I don't have keys because the building automatically locks. It'll be open in the morning. Here's what I'll do for you. You can come back home with me and work on your project." So I go back to my client's place, and he lived in a mansion. It was beautiful. It was 3 stories. It was the first time I had been in a mansion. He said, "If you need anything, feel free to take my car." He drove a 7 Series BMW. It was the first time I had been in a 7 Series BMW. I said, sure. I drove and got some supplies and came back and worked on that storyboard all night. Next morning, I presented it to my friend's agency, and the worst happened. I was rejected. They didn't like my work. I was devastated. I had not had anything like this happen to me. And not only that, they were like, "Hey, we got to go with someone else." Oh, this really crushed me, mentally and emotionally. And there were a lot of things that were going through my head. My intrapersonal communication was telling me this story of failure. Keep in mind, I had been a product of multi-generational poverty, fatherless, and lived in a crime-infested environment. And there were no examples of people who had overcome failure that I could look up to and get counsel. So it was on me. If it was to be, it was up to me. This is typically what happens when we go through a situation that breaks us down so much so that we start to tell ourselves a failure story. We reference the worst instead of assuming the best. So my first cue for you is this. You have to write a transformational story for yourself, one that you will default to every time you experience a setback. This is your story that's going to help you to become the person that you were meant to be. Why is this important? Well, a story is nothing but words that creates a mental picture. Words create worlds. Maxwell Maltz said, "A man cannot rise higher than his self-image." Those words that you write creates an image of yourself, and that story creates a scene where you see yourself performing. And when you go through a setback, any challenge you face, even if it's in the past, because we will haunt ourselves with things that happen to us, unhealed hurt, unmet needs, and unresolved conflict, we will hunt ourselves like Frankenstein's monster. We will refer to that story. But when we have a new story, one that dictates our triumph, our greatness, the person we were meant to be, that story is what will drive us to be our best self. First cue, you need to write yourself a story. It's going to push you into becoming who you were meant to be. It's going to help you to overcome that challenge that temporarily breaks you, but it doesn't paralyze you, because you have a story that propels you, that empowers you to be your best self. The second thing you need is a mission. So I told you that I was a product of multi-generational poverty, fatherless, lived in a crime-infested environment, and didn't have any examples to look up to. That was my story, right? That was my experience. That was truth. I wasn't making it up. That's what happened to me. Well, you have to have a mission. And my mission was to break the cycle of multi-generational poverty and create multi-generational success. Now, multi-generational poverty manifests itself economically, but it starts educationally. This is why your mindset is so important. You have to work on your mind. And the way you work on your mind is from your failures. You draw conclusions about why you failed, and you seek the lessons that you need to learn so that you do not perpetuate the very thing that creates the generational poverty, the generational failures. Okay. And here's why this is important. We live between two chapters. Okay. We can't stop this. The first chapter, and there are many of these first chapters, is the "it happened to me" chapter. There are things that happen to you in life that are just out of your control. You could not have prevented it. You couldn't stop them from doing what they were doing. Things break, things explode, what have you. Okay, I'm not trying to catastrophize, but this is just a reality of life. It happened to you. Perhaps you were like me. I mean, one of my mother's boyfriends, he was abusive, and he abused me, and it was terrible. It happened to me. My father abandoned me. It happened to me. It was terrible. I accept it. But then you have to learn from that. What is it that I need to be my best self? What is it that I need to not allow that to become my story? Okay, there are many "it happened" chapters in your life. Then there is the "I made it happen" chapter. Now, here's the thing about resilience. Let me pause for a second. Resilience is the one thing, when people say, experience is the best teacher, this is true about resilience. Okay, now, I'm not advocating that you need to go through bad things in order to be resilient every time. I mean, there's some principles that you can learn and say, okay, I'm going to make sure that I don't do that. But resilience is this paradoxical thing. You have to go through it in order to grow from it, right? And so the "it happened" chapters, they are chapters in your life where you collect data. You take that data and you say, I'm going to make it happen by following my transformational story, and I'm going to write a mission statement for my life. And my mission is, and of course, in my case, my mission is to break the cycle of multi-generational poverty and create multi-generational success. I'm going to educate myself, because generational poverty first starts with the mindset. It's the mindset. It's not money. It's mindset. Because you can give a person who has never managed a significant amount of money, and they fail to successfully be good stewards of that money because they never had the education to help them to properly manage money. So it's not the quantity, it's the quality, and the quality of usage comes from the education. You have to shift the mindset. You have to have a mission statement that says, whatever created this, whatever caused this, it is my mission to stop it from happening in my life. And it is my mission to create a different path, to create a different opportunity. And it's not just for you. You have to understand that all of us are for someone else, okay? Because you are here to influence someone else to be their best self as well. And so the "it happened" chapters are always happening. You have to collect the data, educate yourself. The education prevents the perpetuation of the negativity. It also creates the opportunity to perpetuate the positivity. Okay. And that's why you have that mission statement to remind you, what should I learn from this? Because my mission is X. What is my story in my life? Because this is how I'm going to act. Story, mission. Story, mission. The third thing, you know where this is going. You must act on it. This is where coaches come into play. They help you to become self-aware, create an action plan, and be accountable to executing that. All this doesn't matter. I mean, you can write a beautiful story about yourself and say, this is what I'm going to do. This is how it's going to look. I'm going to live here, be this. You can create a mood board, whatever you do. You can write a mission statement, say my mission is blah, blah, blah. But if you don't execute, it's a waste of time. Execution trumps strategy, mission, story writing. Those things are important. They are essential. You need that in your life. You need direction in your life. You need to create a vision for your life. You need all of that, but you must execute in order to make it reality. Story, a mission, take action. Those three things will help you to develop an unbreakable mindset. Listen, thank you for listening today. I'm Steven Garner, the resilient life expert. Take your cues from me and live a great life. NEXCUE. Thank you for listening. I'm on a mission to teach the world how to develop a resilient mindset to overcome all their challenges. You might be wondering, why am I bent on accomplishing this feat? Well, it's simple. When I was at my worst and lowest moment, many people poured into my life and helped me to overcome all my challenges. When I asked them, what was their motivation? They simply said someone did it for them. And then they asked me to make a promise to do it for someone else. You can help me to fulfill that promise by simply subscribing today and help me to teach the world how to live their best life. I'm Steven Garner. Take your cues from me and live a great life. NEXCUE. Let's go, baby.